Who was the possible model in which Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster used to create Superman? Well, quite possibly the fellow we're going to talk about today, although in kind of a roundabout way. What the heck am I talking about? Well, stay tuned to find out. Welcome to Kevin's Commentary on Comics. Today we're going to take a look at a 1976 issue of Marvel Preview. Now, how could a character in a 1976 comic be the inspiration of Superman, who was created in 1934? Well, it's because Marvel Preview number 9 featured a character of Hugo Danner from a novel called Gladiator, written by Philip Wiley, which came out in 1930 and quite possibly read by Jerry Siegel, although really there is no confirmation of this. The Marvel Preview issue is an adaptation of this novel and was suggested to me by none other than Hugo Danner. Well, at least that's the screen name, but obviously a fan of this character, as his avatar also reflects the cover of Marvel Preview number 9. Now, this issue was found on Diversions of the Groovy Kind website, which I have discussed before. Take a look at it. It's got some fun stuff devoted to 1970s comics and nostalgia. And since I'm on this big 70s kick, I thought I would give this a review because I've never read this comic and know nothing about the mysterious Man God. Now, I should point out, while this is called Marvel Preview Presents Man God, that name, Man God, is never used in the pages of this comic. I guess Marvel needed a spiffy title for it because Marvel Preview Presents Hugo Danner doesn't quite have the same appeal. Although, since it's based on the novel called Gladiator, why not Marvel Preview Presents Gladiator? Maybe there was a copyright issue or something going on. Anywho, we kick off this black and white thing of beauty with a double-page spread which capsulates the history of the Man God, which, hey, you could basically just stop here because, you know, you got the whole story right here in these various pictures, but really, why would you? Let's dive deeper. It's 1914, and a ship is at sea, and aboard that ship is a silent man who keeps to himself unless there's trouble, like, say, a child falling overboard into shark-infested waters. So without hesitating, this mysterious man jumps in and attacks the shark. Using really unheard of strength, he rips the jaws of this Jaws Jr. apart and rescues the child. I guess maybe that would be Jaws Sr. since this is back in 1914. At any rate, as he hands the kid back to his mother, the dude says, "That's for." And honestly, I don't know what he was referring to, and I'm not really sure it was ever actually explained. For what? Well, anyway, he gets off the boat and he heads to a restaurant in France where he's joined by another American, Thomas Matthew Shane. Reluctantly, the mystery man allows Shane to sit with him, and it's not until page 11 that we actually find out the mystery man's name is Hugo Danner. It's also when we find out that France and Britain are at war with Germany. So both Shane and Danner decide they need to get in on this and join the French Foreign Legion. And after they do, they're attacked by thieves thinking they had some sweet Legionnaire bonus bucks. While Shane holds his own, it's Danner who really fights off the thugs. One of them even tries to stab Danner, but the blade just broke against his flesh. It was almost like he was a man of steel. The two part, and Hugo wonders if his newfound friend would still be his friend if he knew about his past. Cue the origin music, which is really a harp playing backwards. All right, so Hugo's father, Professor, I'm going to butcher this name, Professor Abednego Danner? Abednego, I think so. Abednego Danner had developed a serum of some sort that he injected into his cat, which made the cat super strong and his skin such that it could even repel bullets. Maybe this was Streaky, the super cat. Professor Danner swore he would never use this serum again, and he had to poison the cat before it could threaten any of the local townspeople. Unfortunately, Danner didn't keep to his word, and he injected this serum into his pregnant wife. So he saw what the cat did, and how aggressive the cat became, and how he had to poison him. Thought, hey, you know what would be cool? Let's put this into my unborn child. So she gave birth as normal, but quickly they discovered that this baby was a little bit different because as he got older, he could break out of his crib and he showed sign of super strength. The two decided, hey, we're going to raise the boy with as much love and in a peaceful, respectful manner, and also that he should never exhibit his strength in public for fear of the public outcry. He did have great strength, as you can see here, as he uproots a tree and jumps so high, it's almost as if he could fly. So eventually, Hugo got old enough to leave Smallville, the village that he lived in, and went to college in Metropolis. I think this is New York. He was quickly recruited to be on a football team by Lefty Forsman and became a football star. Now, didn't John Byrne do the same thing with Clark Kent in the Man of Steel limited series shortly after Crisis? Some more analogies, but in this case, Byrne would have taken this from either this comic or maybe the original Gladiator story. I don't know. Hugo fell in love with a girl named Iris, but because of his fear of his abilities, it turned out to just be a one-night stand. And after losing his money to a hooker, that wasn't Iris. Iris wasn't hookers, it was somebody else. Hugo almost breaks into a jewelry store, and while he's not above breaking the law by getting a prostitute, he does draw the line at stealing. He eventually finds a circus where there's a challenge for anyone to last 3 rounds with the local strongman for $50, and if they can knock him out, they'd get $100. Hugo says, why not? And wins the $100 rather easily. Now, after the match, he meets up with a girl, Charlotte, who pretty much says she'll show him a good time for a drink, and she does. You'd think Hugo would be a little bit leery about hooking up with strangers after being ripped off, but no, he gets it when he can. So they fall in love rather quickly, and they decide they need money, so Hugo signs up as the new strongman of the circus and befriends an artist named Valentine Mitchell. Probably it's Valentine. The three became good friends, and they are fascinated by Hugo's strength. Charlotte actually worries she'll never be able to keep a man such as him, and that turns out to be the case because after Iris shows back up with Lefty, Charlotte and Valentine ran off together. So, kind of weird because there really was no indication that they had feelings for each other than Charlotte's fear that she couldn't hold on to Hugo. But she was right, but not really in the way one would expect. She left him, not the other way around. So Hugo returns to college and football, but on his first game back with the team, he breaks a man's neck while scoring a touchdown and actually kills the guy. He's horrified by his action, and despite a pep talk from the coach, he leaves football and makes a living deep-sea diving for pearls, and thus we are caught up on the history of Hugo Danner. So he and Shane join the war, and it turns out not to be as satisfying as Hugo wanted. After seeing his unit gunned down, but not him, of course, he single-handedly defeats his opponent. After it's over, everyone's kind of relaxing, but before you know it, the Germans bomb the trench they're in, but they can't fire back, Hugo's unit, since they're out of ammo. Hugo jumps into action and returns with a huge supply of ammunition and supplies. His captain is amazed by his abilities, decides he needs to show it off to his superior officers. The superior offers test him out by having him fetch a 75, which apparently is some sort of cannon. He does so, of course, and they go back into battle. This time, however, he is not fast or strong enough to save his best buddy Shane from being blown to bits. He kind of goes nuts, takes on the entire army, and afterwards needs about 3 days of sleep to recover. Not because he was hurt or anything, just because, hey, he was just exhausted. Shane's parents stop in to find out about their son, who they didn't know much about. Great parents there. So when he finally leaves the hospital, he runs into his old friend Lefty, who had lost both of his eyes in battle. Hugo's ready to go out and win the war single-handedly when he's told that Germany has surrendered and the war is over. And thus, with the war over, what will Hugo Danner do now? Only time would tell. And thus ends the saga of the Man God. Was there another Marvel comic featuring him? Nope. This was it. So why did this guy look so familiar to me? Well, I mean, other than the, obvious comparisons to Superman, as I was reading the issue, I was constantly reminded of a minor DC character from the late 80s named Iron Monroe from the Young All-Stars, who also wore a short-sleeved black shirt and white pants, or maybe they weren't always white, but certainly he wasn't really wearing a costume per se. I did a little bit of research on Man God in the interwebs and found out that rascally Roy Thomas created Monroe and made him Hugo Danner's son. In fact, he even had Danner appear in the Young All-Stars issues 9 through 11, where Danner went mad and tried to take over a Brazilian city. The Young All-Stars intervened, and Danner died in the final battle. So there was a little bit of a tie-in, although this was on DC, not in Marvel. In case it wasn't obvious, Hugo Danner is kind of a public domain character. Although, from what I read, the appearance in the Marvel comic and in the DC comic, that is not public domain. It's the Gladiator version that is in public domain. So I'm Kevin, and that was my commentary. What did you think of this single issue from 1976? As I said before, I love black and white comics, not more than color comics, but just in a different way. You can really, you can get a better feel for the pencils, and DeZuniga did a great job with the book. I really did think that there was more to this man god, but other than Iron Monroe and maybe the character of Gladiator from X-Men fame, which is also a Superman ripoff, but used the original name of Hugo Danner from the 1930 book, which is quite possibly the model for Superman. This is all very interesting and circular stuff going on. The viewer that suggested this comic, Hugo Danner, did a review of this issue on Diversions of the Groovy Kind, but I have not read that yet. I wanted to go into this one fresh without being influenced by any other reviews, but I am going to read it after I'm done recording this, just to see if we shared the same thoughts. I'll leave an update in the comment section below in case you are interested. My journey through the 70s will continue next time, but what will I be commenting on? Well, you'll just have to click on that subscribe button to find out, or wait for me to post it on Facebook on www.facebook.com/KevinOnComics. Tweet it at TicketKev, or look on Google Plus, Kevin's Commentary on Comics. Just all those places, or you can just come back here in about a week or so and it'll be up there. For now, though, please go out, make it a great day, and I will see ya.